His voice was rough, but human. A real human. Ava had never met one before. Her people told stories about humans, how they were dangerous, wild, and strange. She nodded slowly. "Not yet," she said. He studied her for a moment. "You won't last long out here. Come with me." Ava hesitated. She didn't trust him, but what choice did she have? The poison was already in her blood. She followed him through a narrow path, past steaming pools and sharp rocks. Finally, they reached a hidden cave entrance. He tapped the wall, and a metal door opened. Inside, the air was clean. Machines hummed softly. There was light, food, and even water. Ava fell to her knees. The man didn't help her up. "What's your name?" he asked. "Ava," she said. He nodded. "I'm Ethan." She looked up at him. "Why are you here?" He didn't answer right away. He turned and walked to a small table, poured a cup of thick liquid, and handed it to her. "Drink. It slows the poison." Ava took it and drank. It was bitter, but her pain eased. "You're not the first they've sent here," Ethan said. "But you might be the first to find me." Ava looked around. The cave was more than just shelter. It was a lab. Machines blinked. Screens showed. "Maps and data? You're a scientist?" She asked. "Something like that. Can you cure the poison?" He looked at her. "Yes, but nothing's free." Ava's heart sank. "What do you want?" Ethan didn't smile. He pointed to a large machine in the back of the cave. "Help me finish that. Then we'll talk about your cure." Ava nodded slowly. She didn't trust him, but she needed him. This was her only chance to live. She had no idea what the machine did, but she would find out. She had been banished to die. But now, maybe she had found a reason to survive. Woke up to the soft hum of machines. Her body still ached, but the pain was less now. The bitter drink Ethan had given her was working. She sat up on the thin bed in the corner of the cave and looked around. Everything was strange and old but clean. Air smelled dry, but at least it wasn't killing her. She kept her chin high as they led her to the launch bay, her long silver. Hair was tangled, her eyes tired, but she did not cry. Crying would not change anything. The council said she had betrayed her people, leaked secrets, planned rebellion. None of it was true, but truth did not matter. Power D. Duthan stood across the room, working on one of the blinking machines. Sparks flew for a second, and he grunted. He didn't look at her. Ava wondered how long he had been alone on this planet. The shuttle was small and old. It was made for cargo, not people. They didn't even give her a seat. The door slammed shut behind her, and then the engines roared to life. The shaking was terrible. She grabbed the side rails and waited. Outside. The window, her home planet, grew smaller. The bright towers of Varelia faded into the black. She stood up slowly and walked toward him. "What is that machine?" she asked. Hours passed. Ava did not know how many. She had no clock, no food, and only a small oxygen pack to breathe clean. Air. When the ship finally reached Serpentis 9, alarms started beeping. The shuttle dropped fast through thick yellow clouds. Lightning flashed outside. Ava braced for impact. Ethan paused and glanced at her. "It's a transmitter, a special one. It doesn't send messages, it listens." The crash was hard, but not deadly. The door opened slowly with a hiss, and toxic air rushed in. Ava held her breath and pulled the small mask from the wall. It was old and cracked, but it still worked for now. She stepped out into the poisonous world. Ava didn't understand. Listens to what? The ground was gray and cracked, like dried blood. Strange plants twisted up from the rocks. The air was thick and burned her throat, even through the mask. In the sky, green fog swirled like a storm waiting to fall. Ava coughed and looked around. There was no one, no sound. Only the wind. 2 signals, he said. Old ones. From deep space, or maybe from the past? I'm still not sure. She walked for hours, trying to stay away from open pits and glowing water. Her boots started to melt at the edges. Her vision blurred. The poison was already finding its way in. She sat down behind a broken rock and pulled her knees to her chest. She didn't want to die. Not like this. Not forgotten. Looked at the tall frame of wires and blinking lights. It looked like a mix of alien and human tech. Why are you building it? She thought of her mother's voice, her brother's laughter, the palace gardens. All gone. All taken. Now she was just another ghost on a cursed world. He looked back at the screen, because I'm trying to find something or someone. Then something moved. A shadow passed across the rocks. Ava froze. Her hand went to her belt, but they had taken all her tools. She had nothing. She waited. The shadow came again. Ava didn't ask more. She could see he didn't want to talk about it. Instead, she pointed to another device. Can I help? A man appeared from behind a rock, wearing dark armor and a full breathing mask. He held a long staff that glowed at the tip. Ava gasped and stood up. The man raised the staff, but he didn't strike. Ethan turned to face her fully. He looked tired, but not unkind. You really want to? You're not dead? He said, if I help you, maybe you'll give me more of that cure, she said. And I need something to do. I can't just sit and wait to die. His voice was rough but human, a real human. Ava had never met one before. Her people told stories about humans, how they were dangerous, wild, and strange. Ethan nodded. All right. But be careful. Some of these parts are unstable. She nodded slowly. Not yet. She said. He handed her a small tool. Ava took it and began working under his direction. Hours passed. She connected wires, cleaned rusted pieces, and moved heavy parts into place. Her arms were sore, but she kept going. She felt useful for the first time since she had been thrown from her world. He studied her for a moment. You won't last long out here. Come with me. As they worked, Ethan spoke more. He told her little things about the storms on Serpentis 9, about the creatures that came out at night, and about how he had found this cave. He still didn't say much about himself, but Ava listened closely. Ava hesitated. She didn't trust him. But what choice did she have? The poison was already in her blood. She followed him through a narrow path, past steaming pools and sharp rocks. Finally, they reached a hidden cave entrance. He tapped the wall, and a metal door opened. She shared too. She told him about her life on Varelia, about the palace, her family, and how quickly everything had changed. One day I was a noble, she said. The next I was a traitor. And now I'm here. Inside, the air was clean. Machines hummed softly. There was light, food, and even water. Ava fell to her knees. The man didn't help her up. He just watched. Ethan didn't comment. He only said, yeah, life does that. What's your name? He asked that night. They sat near a small heater and ate a simple meal of dried plants and protein packs. It wasn't good, but it was warm. Ava leaned back against the wall and closed her eyes for a moment. Ava, thank you, she said. He nodded. I'm Ethan. For what? Ethan asked. She looked up at him. Why are you here? For saving me. He didn't answer right away. He turned and walked to a small table, poured a cup of thick liquid, and handed it to her. Drink this. It slows the poison respond right away. And he said, I didn't save you. I just gave you time. You still have to save yourself. Ava took it and drank. It was bitter, but her pain eased, opened her eyes. His words felt cold, but true. She nodded. Then I will. You're not the first they've sent here, Ethan said. But you might be the first to find me. The next day they went outside. Ava wore a better mask now, one Ethan had repaired. The air still burned a little, but it was bearable. They walked together to a nearby wreck. It was an old Varelian probe, half buried in the dirt. Ava looked around. The cave was more than just shelter. It was a lab. Machines blinked. Screens showed maps and data. Ethan used tools to break into it. This tech might help finish the receiver, he said. And maybe it has data on who else came here before you. You're a scientist? She asked. They pulled out parts and packed them into a small sled. As they worked, a sudden sound made them freeze. A deep growl echoed through the rocks. Something like that. What was that? Ava whispered. Can you cure the poison? Run, Ethan said. He looked at her. Yes. But nothing's free. They ran fast across the sharp ground. Behind them, a creature moved through the fog, low, to the ground, with glowing eyes and sharp limbs. Ava's heart pounded. She stumbled but kept going. Ava's heart sank. What do you want? Ethan hit a switch on his wristband. A small explosion went off behind them, slowing the beast. They reached the cave door and slammed it shut just in time. The creature slammed into the wall outside, then slowly faded into the mist. Ethan didn't smile. He pointed to a large machine in the back of the cave. Help me finish that, then we'll talk about your cure. Ava sank to the floor, gasping. What was that thing? Ava nodded slowly. She didn't trust him, but she needed him. This was her only chance to live. She had no idea what the machine did, but she would find out. Native, Ethan said. They don't like visitors. She had been banished to die. But now, maybe, just maybe, she had found a reason to survive. Do they come often? Too often? They worked in silence the rest of the day. The danger outside had reminded them both this place could kill them at any moment. That night, Ava sat alone and looked at the strange machine. She touched a part they had repaired. What do you think is out there? She asked Ethan. He looked up from his notes. Maybe nothing. A message. Or someone like me. Ava woke up early. The cave was cold, and the heater had gone out. She sat up and rubbed her hands together for warmth. The silence outside was thick, like the planet itself was holding its breath. Ethan was already awake. He was sitting near the machine, typing on a small screen. His face was serious, his eyes focused. Did you sleep? Ava asked. A little, he replied without looking at her. Had to finish decoding the probe's data? Did it tell you anything useful? Nodded a little. The probe had records of other landings. You weren't the first Varelian sent here. There were others. Most didn't survive long. Ava's heart sank. How many? 6. All sent in the last 10 years. She sat beside him. Were they? All exiles like me? Ethan looked at her. Most likely. Varelia doesn't waste good ships or tech on criminals. They dump people here quietly. No rescue, no return. Ava stared at the wall. That's what I am now. A forgotten name on a list. Ethan's voice softened. Not forgotten. You're still breathing. That counts for something here. They spent the morning working on the receiver. Ava helped carry pieces of the broken probe back to the machine. Some of the parts didn't fit, but Ethan adjusted them with tools and clever wiring. As they worked, a storm rolled in. Outside, green lightning flashed across the sky and acid rain began to fall. Ava watched from the cave entrance. This planet is cursed. Ethan stood beside her. No, it's just wild. Dangerous, yes, but not cursed. You just have to learn its rules. She turned to him. And what are the rules? He looked at the storm. Never trust the quiet. Always stay near shelter. And never go out at night unless you want to die. Ava frowned. That last part sounds personal. He didn't answer. Later, while the storm raged outside, they sat in the back of the cave. Ethan showed her the machine's display. These signals, some are natural, but others are repeating patterns. That's not normal. Ava leaned closer. The screen showed waveforms and numbers. She didn't understand most of it, but she could tell something strange was happening. Are they messages? She asked. Maybe they're old, weak, and broken. But something is out there. She stared at the screen. Could they be Varelian? Ethan shook his head. Different frequency. Too old. Older than your tech, maybe even older than mine. Ava didn't know what to say. They spent the evening repairing one of the solar panels. The storm made it hard, but they managed to get it working again. When the lights in the cave flickered back on, Ava smiled. It's strange, she said. I've never felt proud of something this small before. Ethan nodded. Out here, small things matter. Power, heat, food, a clean mask. Everything counts. That night, Ava had a dream. Oh. She was back in the palace garden, walking with her sister. Flowers bloomed and the sky was blue. But then the garden cracked open and she was falling. She woke up sweating, her hands clenched. She sat up and looked around the cave. Ethan was asleep on the floor nearby, his arm over his face. Ava stood and walked to the machine. It blinked slowly, its light steady. She placed her hand on it. "What are you listening for?" she whispered. "Who are you trying to find?" The morning, Ethan handed her another dose of the cure. It was bitter, but it kept her body from breaking down. She looked at him after drinking it. "What are your terms?" Ethan paused. "What do you mean? You said you had the only cure? You gave it to me. But nothing's free. So what do you want in return?" Ethan sighed and sat down. "I don't want credits or power. I don't need anything like that. I just want help. Real help." Ava frowned with what? He pointed to the receiver.
"Help me finish it."
"Help me find out what these signals are. Let me find who or what is sending them." Ava thought for a long moment. "That's it? No tricks? No control?" "Tricks," he said, "but once you agree, you don't walk away. You don't quit." She nodded. "All right, I'll help you." Ethan stood and offered his hand. She shook it. From that moment, something shifted between them. They weren't just strangers stuck on a deadly world anymore. They were partners, survivors. As the days passed, they worked together, repaired the machine, studied the probe, data, and mapped parts of the nearby terrain. Alba grew stronger. Her body healed and her mind sharpened. One evening, as the two sat by the heater, Ava asked, "Why are you really here, Ethan?" Was silent for a while, and he said, "I made mistakes. Back home, I ran from them, ended up here." "Did they send you, like me?" "No," he said. "I came by choice." She looked at him in surprise. "You chose this?" "I had nowhere else to go," he said, "but now, maybe this place has a purpose." They both looked at the machine. It blinked again. And for the first time, the signal changed. It wasn't just static anymore.
Ow.
A slow, pulsing tone filled the room. Ava leaned forward. What was that? Ethan's eyes widened. "I don't know, but that was new." Outside, the toxic wind howled. But inside the cave, hope flickered again stronger than before. Asterisk Ava could not sleep. The signal from the tower was still in her mind. Her hands felt cold, and her heart was heavy. She sat near the heater in the cave while Ethan checked the data again. Ethan's eyes moved across the screen. "This signal is older than anything I've seen before," he said. "Maybe hundreds of years old? Maybe more?" Ava leaned in. "Is it a warning or a message?" "Maybe both," he replied. "I think these towers were placed here to send a signal out or to keep something in." The air in the cave felt colder now. Ava hugged her arms around her chest. "Do you think someone is still listening?" Ethan didn't answer at first. Then he said, "If they are, we need to know who they are and what they want." The next morning, they left the cave again. They carried more supplies this time. Food, masks, light weapons. They wanted to find another tower. Maybe it could tell them more. They walked for hours, through rocky hills and dead trees. The planet's air still burned, but their masks held strong. Ava had grown stronger. Her legs no longer shook. Her body was healing, slowly. Around midday, they saw something in the distance.
Oh.
A large black shape stood alone in the mist.
God.
Another tower, taller than the last. They got closer. The tower looked the same as the one before, but this one was cracked near the base. Black smoke rose from a hole in the side. Something damaged it, Ethan said. They entered the tower. Inside, it was dark. The blue light from the center orb was weak. Sparks jumped from broken wires. The room smelled of metal and fire. Ava stepped forward and looked around. She saw bones, old ones. A body lay near the wall, still wearing a half-burned suit. Ethan knelt beside it. This was a Varelian. It's from years ago, maybe 10. Ava stared at the symbol on the suit. It was one she remembered. Her cousin Kira had worn it too. It was from the secret science group of the palace. She was like me, Ava said. Maybe she found the truth too. Ethan nodded. And they sent her here. They found another message inside the broken machine. It was harder to read, but Ethan pulled pieces of it out. It says the towers are part of a system, built long ago.
Oh.
They are listening posts. But they also keep something. Locked away something deep under the planet's surface. Ava looked down. What is buried here? Ethan didn't answer. We need to find out. They left the tower as the sky darkened. A storm was coming. They moved fast, trying to find shelter. The wind picked up and rain began to fall green. In Acidic, they found a broken ship half buried in the ground. Stores still worked. Inside, it was cold and dark, but it was safe. They waited there while the storm passed. Ava sat on a crate and stared at the broken control panel. Do you think the council knew? She asked. Ethan looked up. Yes, I think they've known for a long time. Then why send people here? Because it's easier to hide the truth in a grave. Ava closed her eyes. I won't let them win. Ethan moved closer. Then we have to finish the receiver. We have to tell the galaxy what's really here. The next morning, the storm was gone. The air was still heavy, but they had no time to waste. They returned to the cave, tired, but more determined than ever. Inside, Ethan powered up the machine. The signal from the first tower was still there, steady and strong. The second tower's message had added new codes, strange and deep. Ava placed a new part on the table. This was in the broken tower. I think it's a memory chip. Ethan scanned it. Yes, it holds a map of something underground. They both stared at the screen. Below the planet's surface was a huge network tunnels, chambers, energy cores, and at the center, something big. Something alive. Ava stepped back. It's not just a prison. It's a cage. Ethan looked at her, and it's weakening. They were silent for a long time. Then Ava said, What happens if it escapes? Ethan didn't speak. He just stared at the screen. Later that day, they sat near the fire. The cave was quiet, except for the soft hum of the machine. Do you regret coming here? Ava asked. Ethan shook his head. I came here to find the truth. Just didn't expect it to be this big. I was thrown here, Ava said. But now I think maybe I was meant to come. Maybe this is where I was supposed to be. He looked at her. You believe in fate? She smiled a little. Not before, but now maybe. Ethan stood. Then let's not waste it. We finish. The message, we send the truth. And we stop whatever they're hiding before it wakes up. Ava nodded. Together. In the cave, the receiver blinked. The signal grew louder. And deep below them, something began to stir. Ava and Ethan returned to the cave just before sunset. Their suits were dirty and their steps were slow. They had walked for hours through poison fog and rough ground. The discovery of the tower had changed everything. They were not just survivors. Now, they were witnesses to a hidden truth. Inside the cave, Ava dropped her bag and sat down, still holding the broken helmet of her cousin Kira. Her hands were shaking. She could not stop thinking about the message in the orb, a warning. Signal from a forgotten power. And her people had known about it. Ethan placed a small power core into the machine. The lights flickered, then steadied.
Oh.
The receiver was almost finished. We need to act fast, he said. That tower's signal may have alerted others. Ava looked up. You think someone is coming? I think someone already knows. Maybe not today, but soon. Ethan checked the display screen. Signal strength is stronger now. Maybe it connected with other towers. Ava stood and paced. Her mind was full of thoughts. She trusted Ethan, but she hadn't told him everything. Not yet, Ethan, she said slowly. I have something to tell you. He looked at her. What is it? She took a deep breath. Before I was exiled, I found something. A file hidden in the palace records. It mentioned Serpentis 9, the towers, and something called Project Silence. I didn't understand it at the time, but I think that's why they sent me here. They wanted me gone. Ethan's eyes narrowed. Project Silence? Ava nodded. Yes, it was a secret plan. To cover up the truth about this planet, the council wanted to erase anyone who got too close. Ethan walked away from the machine and sat down. He looked tired. You should have told me earlier, I know, she said. I was afraid. Didn't speak for a long moment, then he said, I understand. But from now on, we have to be honest. No more secrets. Ava nodded. No more secrets. But even as she said it, she felt a weight in her chest. There was still one thing she hadn't told him. A message had come to her mask's receiver 2 days ago. Signal from a Varelian drone, still active. It said extraction was coming soon for her, not for Ethan. That night, as Ethan slept, Ava stepped outside the cave. The wind was quiet. The sky was dark. She turned on her mask and checked the message again. Extraction in 48 hours. Coordinates confirmed. Subject Ava, alone. She stared at the words. Her people were coming, but not to rescue both of them. Only her. She went back inside and looked at Ethan. He was sleeping with his back turned. His breathing was slow. Peaceful Ava. Sat near the heater and stared into the fire. She didn't know what to do. She owed Ethan her life. He had given her the cure, shelter, and a chance to survive. Much if she told him about the extraction, he might try to stop it or worse. He might be left behind. The next morning, Ava was quiet. She worked with Ethan on the machine, fixing the last wires and checking the power source. The signal was now stable. The machine was ready. We can send a message, Ethan said. But we have to be careful if the wrong people hear it. Ava nodded. Then we speak the truth. No names, just the facts. They recorded a short message. Ethan's voice was calm but strong. This is a warning. Serpentis 9 is not just a prison, it is a place of silence, made by a forgotten power. There are towers underground. They are sending signals. If you are hearing this, do not ignore it. Its truth is buried here, but it is not dead. Ava pressed the send button. The message went out into space. Then she stood up. Her decision was made. Ethan, she said, I have something else to tell you. He looked up. What is it now? There's a drone. A Varelian one. It sent me a message. Extraction is coming. For me, not you. Ethan's face went blank, then hard. When did you get this? 2 days ago, she said. I didn't know what to do. He stood and walked to the wall. His hands were tight fists, so they knew. They knew you were alive. They want you back. Ava stepped closer. They're not coming to help. They want to finish what they started. Think. I think they're going to silence me for good. Ethan turned. Then don't go. If I don't go, they might find us both. We can't hide forever. You don't have to hide, he said. We fight. Show the galaxy what they're doing with the message we sent NNE. They'll try to erase it, she said. You know they will. Ethan stared at her. What are you going to do? Ava looked down. I don't know yet. Later that day, she walked alone to the top of a hill near the cave. She watched the sky. The drone would come soon. She had to choose. Stand risk both their lives. Leave on break the one bond she had left. Down below. Ethan worked on the receiver again. He didn't look up. And above them in the clouds, something moved. The clock was ticking. And Ava's choice would change everything. Asterisk, the morning air was cold and thick with fog. Ava stood outside the cave, her breath visible in the weak sunlight. She watched the sky, waiting. The extraction drone could come at any moment. Every sound made her heart race. Ethan was inside, checking the receiver for the last time. The machine was stable, sending their warning out to space. He didn't look worried. Not yet. Ava's mind was full of doubts. Should she leave? Could she trust anyone else? Was this really a chance to escape, or just another trap? Suddenly, a soft hum filled the air. A small drone appeared above the hill, moving slowly and silently. Ava's mask beeped with a message. Extraction team confirmed. Stand by. Hands shook. She stepped back into the cave and called Ethan. It's here, she said. He looked up, calm but alert. Get ready. They packed their things quickly. Ava put on a fresh mask and sealed her suit. Ethan grabbed his weapons and tools. Together, they stepped outside. The drone hovered over the cave entrance, sending a beam of light. A voice came. Through the speaker, it was cold and official. Subject Ava. This is your extraction. Comply immediately. Ava's heart pounded. She looked at Ethan. He nodded. Double quotes, go with them, he said quietly. I'll stay and finish the work here. Ava hesitated. Ethan smiled sadly. You have to. I'll find another way off this planet. Or make sure. Someone finds us. She took a deep breath and stepped forward. The drone extended a platform. Ava climbed aboard. As the platform lifted, she looked down at Ethan standing alone outside the cave. He gave her a small wave. The drone moved up into the clouds. Ava watched the toxic planet shrink below her. But her mind was not on the sky. It was on the warning they had sent out, on the truth she had found. On Ethan, suddenly, the drone's speakers crackled. A voice interrupted the cold, official tone. This is Ethan. You must listen. Do not trust the Council. And they hide terrible secrets about Serpentis 9. Help is coming. Stay strong. Ava's eyes widened. Ethan had found a way to speak to her even now. The drone shook and slowed. Then the connection cut out. She was alone again, but not hopeless. Down below, Ethan watched the sky. The mission was not over.